if you have a problem with feminism, Islam will fix it. If you have a problem with your wife not obeying you, Islam will fix it. Islam fixes a lot of the problems that men are currently facing. The problems we're discussing on this show, Islam fixes all of them, right? That's the first thing about Islam. And I'm not a Muslim, right? If I had to choose a religion, I would, because I live in an Orthodox Christian country, I go to the Orthodox Christian church. I donate $20,000 a month to the church in the country I live in. The church in Romania is very powerful, and I like having church friends. So I give them a lot of money, right? So I would guess I'm an Orthodox Christian. But if I had to bet on one religion as if I were betting on the stock market for the future, you have to bet on Islam. Because Muslims are intolerant. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. Because if you're tolerant of everything, then you stand for nothing.
Facts.
Christians are so tolerant now that you can go to church. These girls will get fucked on a Saturday night and go to church on a Sunday morning and get fucked on Sunday night, and it's no big deal, right? So you don't believe it. They have gay pastors that I'm not even anti-gay, but if the book says don't have, like, what the fuck? What do you believe in now? If you're tolerant of everything, you stand for nothing. I can walk through London with a T-shirt saying Jesus is gay, and nothing will happen to me. If I did the same thing with the Islamic prophet, I'd be dead before I got to the end of the street.
Boom.
That's how much they believe and respect. And I respect people who stick up for what they believe in. It's not even about me believing in it. I respect them because they believe and they will defend. Muslims are the only people who will defend their religion. They will defend their beliefs. They refuse to be mocked. They refuse to be insulted. And I respect that about them. I respect that. That's an amazing thing about them, right? And the third point is, and I've been all around the world, some of the best countries in the world today are the first world Muslim nations. Qatar, you can go to Qatar, you can fall asleep with $1 million on your lap in the middle of the street. Nothing's going to happen to you.
Saudi Arabia as well.
You can go to Saudi, nothing will happen to you. You can go to Dubai, UAE, nothing's going to happen to you.
They leave their cars parked with the keys inside.
It's so safe.
Wow.
It's so safe. Women, everyone's married. Every woman obeys her husband. Every single woman has 4, 5, 6 kids. Big families, all the things we're talking about, all the problems we have here, right? They've got none of that, none of it, because of Islam. Islam keeps society in the role where women obey their man, women have children, women have big families, women are exceptionally happy to do so. Before some Western girl comes in here and runs her mouth, the Islamic women are happier than any fucking thought you're going to see in the club tonight.
They're very true.
They're happy. Society is functioning. Their population is growing because in most Western countries, the population is declining.
Tim Cass was talking about it today. I was talking. We were
2
showed
people
on the
have
boat.
1 kid. Doesn't work. Doesn't work, right? 2 people need to have 3.1 kids because people die, right? People die prematurely, blah, 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 blah. So we have population problems in the West. They have none of the population problems. Society is functioning. And that's what society is. Society starts at the smallest possible group. You have families, and families make a street, and that street makes a village, and that village makes a town, that town makes a city, and that city makes a country. So if it's broken at the very fundamental level, if its family level's broken, then it's broken the whole way up. And that's what's happened in the West. And the first world Islamic countries have none of those problems. So if you're going to talk about a belief system that fixes issues, you need to go to Islam.
And I will say this
that will fix everything.
And look, I'm not Muslim, but half my family is Christian, half is Muslim. Sorry to say this, the half that's Christian, they're all divorced. The half that's Muslim, they're still married, hella kids, and they're happy. The wives do serve their husband. The kids understand the roles, and generally they're happy. You're right on that, 100%.
So I just have absolute, even though I wouldn't identify as Muslim, I have absolute respect for the ideology, respect for the mentality, respect for the warrior aspect of it. I respect it.
They don't play.
They don't play. You can't insult their shit. But you can insult the church all day. You can make fun of it. There's a fucking show on Netflix about a gay Jesus. That's a joke, right? Ha, ha, ha. And what do the Christians do? Nothing. Christianity is a dead religion. If you're a Christian, and I'm saying this as a Christian myself, Christianity is a dead religion which is confined to the history books. It's dying out. Your own Pope. The Pope goes up there and talks LGBTQ shit.
That's crazy.
It is over. You don't stand for anything. You don't believe in anything. You have no boundaries. You're walked on. You're mocked. You're divorced. Your fucking Christian wife, after taking her to church for 20 years, will fuck the gardener behind her back. The whole thing is a joke. Being a Christian now is nothing more than advertising you're a loser. It's a losing religion because you've lost to Islam. That's the future of religion.
And I'll say,
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
Well, you know, who's to say that something is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of that? Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me?
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? The point at which you say that there is this is misinformation, like who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause...
Yes, so the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false. Do you agree that that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
what hate
something
speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
don't. You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you said
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
You
said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed...
You just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not... I mean, right, and
literally
you can look at something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I've already said, I don't use that feed. But
then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
I wouldn't ever want to punch a person who's within the doing some good work, actually.
Interestingly enough, I might bring up a very controversial figure. But we've just had Andrew Tate accept Islam, someone who is the most Googled person on earth. And it's very interesting that Allah Subhanahu Wata'ala would use such a person to accept Islam, someone who has a very strong influence on disadvantaged young men, young males, who speaks to them, he calls them young kings, and has a very profound impact on them. It's very interesting that Allah would use someone like him, and we ask Allah to protect him and to actually make this conversion sincere. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'll be honest with you, as much as it might sound very strange, but I didn't really know who Andrew Tate was. Obviously, I'm busy in my field and so on. But then when the hype came, I obviously found out, and I checked him out, and I was very happy at the Shahada. Obviously, who wouldn't be? I mean, we're Muslimin and we're all excited, and
we wish for everyone to be Muslim.
Exactly. And mashallah, he seems like a very sincere brother, and he says what he feels. That means the hypocrisy factor doesn't seem to be there at all. In fact, it probably isn't, because he says it as he thinks.
As he deems.
That's how it comes across, alhamdulillah. So it's a good thing. And what I believe Islam would do for a brother like that is amazing. It would streamline his ideas, and actually, between misogynism and feminism, those are the terminologies that people use today. We have a beautiful Islam. The Prophet ﷺ's approach, because I know I faced some of my friends, some scholars as well, and some regular Muslims who sometimes have told me certain things. No, Sheikh, you're too soft, and no, Sheikh, you're this and that. And I tell you, it's not that. Islam is a balance. There are times when the Prophet ﷺ was extremely lenient and very forgiving. There were times when he spoiled his family members. You know, there is a balance. It's happened to me where people say, oh, you said this and you said that, but we're calling towards a balance. A man needs to know, and a woman, when to be lenient, when to be a little bit harder, when to be a bit harsh, when to forgive, when to hold things, and so on. So it's a beautiful balance. I believe that's what Islam would do to anyone who's genuine in learning. It would create a balance. It's not all about being, so I'm the king, I'm the boss, and that's me. I mean, no one would like you in that case, because why? It's not the case.
Yeah. It would regulate you towards that wasat.
You need the middle path. You are a king, but if only you have a queen. There goes.
I don't know what's happening, right? Like, what really happened, and why is Romania going after him? Are they being pressured by someone else to do this? If he really did, like, sex traffic people, if he really did all the things he's saying, well, I hope that gets proven in court, and I hope he gets punished if he really did that. If he didn't do that, I hope he gets exonerated, and I hope he gets the fuck out of Romania. I know a lot of what he does is theater, right? A lot of what he does is very, like, satire. He plays the role of this boastful misogynist who smokes cigars and drives Lamborghinis, and that's his thing. And because of that, he's amassed an amazing amount of money. And he's done it by doing this character, this online persona, but then also says very wise things. He says ridiculous shit, but also says really interesting things. He's a very smart guy. If you listen to him being interviewed by Patrick Bet-David, Patrick Bet-David interviewed him after he got canceled off of all social media. And Patrick is fantastic. He's really good at letting people talk and talking to everybody. And Patrick is so wealthy and so successful outside of the world of podcasting that he only does it because he's interested in it. And so he's the perfect guy to handle that, because he is not afraid to talk to anybody. He'll talk to anybody. And so he had him on for a long-form conversation. They talk for hours, and you get to see this is a very intelligent and calculated guy. You might not agree with his message. You might not agree with all the misogynist stuff. You might not agree with, and I don't agree with it. You might not agree with all the crazy antics, but you cannot deny that that's been incredibly successful, because it resonates with a lot of young men who don't feel represented in the media. And they see this guy and it looks like fun. Do they agree with what he's saying? That doesn't mean they agree with it. They think it's fun. It's like pro wrestling. He's like a bad guy in pro wrestling. He's a heel. He's smoking cigars with his Lamborghinis, and
I think there's probably a lot of people think that, and then I think there's probably other people who take it seriously, which is where it's a super.
Yes, that is where it gets fucked up. Where it gets fucked up is like young boys repeating the shit that he's saying to young girls, because
he says
that they're supposed to
property
do that.
and he owns them, which is nuts. And so for an intelligent guy, which I agree with you, he is, to be doing the things he's being accused of doing, and then go seek publicity, is a very unwise move.
If he did the things that he did.
Then it's like, what you would think if you're committing atrocities, you would try to stay under the radar. He does quite the opposite.
Yeah, but again, we don't know.
No, nobody knows.
That's the problem. That's
like the
know,
pizza
right?
thing, the pizza box. I don't know if you saw that. Everybody saying he got busted because of the pizza box, and then the authorities like that had nothing to do with it.
No, they knew he was in Romania. It was just, what's that word? Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. That's what it was. Like, he's making fun of Greta Thunberg, and then he gets fucking arrested right afterwards. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
The way it happens, like people said, it's the biggest like
self-owned third biggest tweet or retweet. It was Greta. I mean, it was okay.
It's
but
kind of funny when she said that's what happens when you don't recycle your pizza
that
boxes.
that was good. That was good.
Chad, that shit's hilarious. You got to give it to her. Look, and also, like, why are you going after some 19-year-old autistic girl who's really into climate change?
Like, figure out whether that was provoked. Like, he just did that out of the blue?
Yeah, he's just talking shit.
Now, again, that move from somebody who's being accused of sex trafficking, I think rape was thrown in there, and then you're out there being like, look at me, crazy. Again, but what you said nailed it. Nobody knows. How can you believe anything that is said about somebody so controversial? Because everybody seemingly has already made up their mind. Right. So where to get real information on him? Who knows?
All the objectionable stuff, I think, also was unnecessary. I think if I don't know him. If I did know him, I would tell him all the boastful shit and the shit about him being, the top G and all that stuff. All that shit's great. But the misogynistic stuff, like if you have daughters or if you have a wife or if you have sisters, stuff like that, you don't want that. Well, you don't that narrative, like putting that out there, that's negative to everybody. It's not even positive to him. It's like it's not necessary.
We had him on one of our podcasts, and he almost struck me exactly how you said. Like, for, let's say he's talking for 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, making sense, smart, and then he says something so
wild,
over the top, literally like, women are my property, like I own them. It's like, whoa, what'd you just say? And that's what he does. But he's also selling that class.
What is the class? The Hustlers University? What is that? What are they teaching people?
To hustle.
But what do they teach? Are they...
to hustle.
They can quit at any time they want.
It's like $70 a month, and you become a top G. That's literally.
I mean, is that bad? I don't know. I mean, is it a con game, or is he trying to give them legitimate information? What is he giving them other than what he's already said in interviews and like what? How is it a university? Like what is?
He has people who, and that's where it's a gray area because
aren't there like professors? Hustlers University. Experience modern wealth creation.
I haven't looked at this. I didn't know this was even real.
Yeah, no, this is what he said, like a main...
So many grifters.
Main business.
Secure your spot for just $49 is your last chance to secure a spot or a discounted price.
This weird countdown thing is such a trap.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God.
Just recycle?
I only have 1 hour, 10 minutes and 36 seconds to sign up.
And that's going to be 147.
Jesus,
if you don't make
enroll now, Jamie. You have only an hour before this class. Enroll.
Before this
Let's enroll. What do we have to do? Click on that. Enroll now. Okay. What do we have to do? The Real World has launched a completely matrix-independent platform where we teach you how to make money in the digital age. How do they teach you how to make money?
You just hustle, man. You just hustle.
So $600 a year.
It's also another thing, like this matrix thing, which he has, which again, I am a firm believer based on my experience, like people are out to get you, they're out to get you. He also, if he committed these crimes, he's sort of brilliant, be like, they're coming for me in the next couple days because you know they're coming, and then your followers go, aha, he was right. It's like a self-fulfilling who knows?
Right.
But I will say he goes too far. Like, and you'd think rational people be like, whoa, you're crazy, but there's a lot of, and that's where anything's a slippery. But if you want to use the word toxic masculinity, he's it.
The bad stuff that he said embodies that.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what that's why people are rooting for what he said to be true, because they don't want that.
Right. But you're still crazy to root for that because you're not thinking about the victims that would be involved. You're basically, that means a lot of people were hurt.
Well, it means if it's true, you want him to be punished. But you also hope that he's not accused of these things when it's just because of his bombastic personality and talking shit and getting all this attention, which he clearly has done. You got to wonder how much of it is sat. Like when he talked to Piers Morgan, that was a very interesting conversation because Piers confronted him on all these things, and he did a great job of explaining what he does and why he does it. And it's like the guy went viral in a way that no one has. and so quickly.
Yeah.
In a while, we're like my 12-year-old and my 14-year-old were asking me about it.
Yeah, no, he was it.
Yeah, all over TikTok and all over everything. And if you just
But
look at
that's
some
the
of those
scary
little
part
clips,
in a weird way. If your 12-year-old and 14-year-old are hearing some of the outrage, like nobody wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even have a TikTok, I think. And he was like the #1 guy on TikTok. Crazy.
I think they probably banned him. Right? I mean, they banned him from everything. They banned him from Facebook. The only thing he's still on is
Elon,
Twitter.
Elon brought him back.
Yeah, which, listen, I agree with. I think you should be able, I don't think banning people's the way. I think this exchange with Greta Thunberg is a perfect example of how to counteract that.
Yeah.
Like, she just mocks him. And then he gets arrested, and she has the fucking tweet of the year making fun of his arrest.
Yeah.
And a fucking perfect one-liner. That's what happens if you don't recycle your pizza boxes.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
No,
it's genius. That's why it's good that someone like that is on social media, because you get a chance for people to participate in the conversation.
والله على كل شيء قدير